Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the first away day show of the Premier League season. We're finally into it. Exciting times, no sleep. It's sort of how it's been going. Boys, how are we feeling the first week back?
I'll go.
Kick it off.
You go.
Yeah. Well, you haven't played yet, so.
Yeah, so an exciting week so far. Probably shown most by the Saturday night game, Newcastle Villa.
We stood out in it.
I think so far it's been pretty everything you expected to happen has probably happened.
Yeah.
Bar maybe one or two results, but both those results were really 50-50 either way.
Yeah.
The likes of Man City and Arsenal have gone and won their games, which was expected.
Yeah.
Liverpool and Chelsea, a draw was probably
always
always on
thought,
the cards.
yeah.
I was reading something and the last 7 games they've played have either been 0 or a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw, yeah.
So everything so far has been pretty ordinary. I'd say in sense of predictions wise. I don't think if anyone's betting on these games would be doing too bad so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, no upsets yet. Which is maybe a surprise because usually if you go back on the year's match week 1, there's always some card, someone maybe one of Luton or Sheffield would have pulled away a result, at least a draw. But
Luton, so firstly, Arsenal obviously got the win, so I've been in decent spirits. Made it shaky at the end though.
I was about to say I was a bit nervous.
So I think we'll obviously go through the games in a sec, but looked really good from the start. Couldn't really create any clear-cut chances, but we made enough of the half chances, and then a late one from Forest made it a little bit scary. Just touching on the promoted teams. Yeah, Luton thought there for a second might do something when they made it 1-1.
I think they were better than
what it wasn't 1-1.
2-1.
2-1. But the scoreline definitely did not. We'll touch on that. Scoreline definitely did not reflect upon
the game.
Brighton's dominance. I don't think that we're as dominant as 4-1.
So I disagree there though. Obviously, I understand where you're coming from because in the sense that Brighton didn't create.
We'll touch on it.
But overall,
you're right,
just finishing my little wrap up. Obviously, United play tonight, but I thought, as Todd's kind of mentioned that, the games I guess went as roughly most people would predict in the sense that no crazy upsets, but it was great to have the Prem back.
100%.
Spent all weekend watching that, trying to get as much of the content as I could. Obviously a lot of the overlaps, but it was great to have the Prem back. So
I felt from the first week, you're right, it probably showed us a bit what we thought, but I think what stood out to me was there seems to be a growing gap between that sort of top 8 group and I think a bit of the rest. And I feel like you've got Brentford, Fulham. I think Brighton, you might push up into. We don't know how they're going to go with Europe.
We'll see how it goes.
But it feels like there might be a bit of a 2-league system in the league.
Well, Villa did get spanked, so I don't know if they're.
I still think you got to count.
I think Villa need to earn their spot in that top 8. I think
they're the ones.
I think everyone's predicting them to be there.
Yeah. So did Tottenham in that sense.
No, I disagree. I think Spurs.
We were talking a lot about the Spurs
are
game.
a big club.
Yeah, a big club.
There's a 7. There's a big 7. I think I see where you're going with the 8. There's still a big 7. Spurs and. Teams obviously have outlier years, but historically, last 10 years, and Newcastle you definitely include there now because they've shown the funding, they're going to stick around there. You have a big 7, I think now.
Yeah.
And then teams like Villa, I think Villa, Brighton is about it in terms of who are competing to be there.
Brentford. Quick question on Brighton.
It's drop off.
Quick question on Brighton. Do you think with this Caicedo money now they're going to go make any more reinforcements?
No, I think I just pick up the odd.
I wonder where the money goes with Brighton because these guys are making crazy profits.
System
but youth, but it's in they're getting 150 mil plus every window now over the last couple of years. Yeah. It's
eventually the cash.
Do you just keep putting
surely you make some sort of signings.
I mean, their owners must just be pocketing it all in terms of the profits. I mean, but I don't know.
Their facilities are at a higher level now, but I'm assuming this money over time has gone to produce a facility, one of the best modern stadiums in the league.
Oh, for sure.
One of the best
in terms of you can only reinvest so much.
There's money there. The
owners must be a good investment. But
before we keep going off about Brighton and their money, we'll start with the first game. Burnley 0, Man City 3. I was struggling to get my eyes open, but I watched the whole game. It was an early watch here in Perth. Entertaining watch though throughout. I think from the start, Burnley didn't muck around. From the kickoff, they were pressing up the City. They were in their sort of face, and City found it, I think, a bit shocking, at least in the first minute or so. You saw them kick a few balls out of bounds, but Haaland in the early minutes did what he does best, right? He found the spot from a corner, and I think it's going to show this year. I think Burnley are not the Burnley of old, right? They conceded 2 goals basically from set pieces. worst set piece team in the championship last season. They're a smaller team. They're
Really?
a ball playing
Is that what
team.
they're-
Yeah.
I didn't
So
know
last
that.
season conceded a lot of goals from set pieces, corners, free kicks. We saw the Rodri goal was sort of fumbled in from a set piece as well. So I think we've got to keep an eye out for Burnley. But I was impressed with Burnley. They didn't take a back step. They didn't sit in. They didn't go deep. Man City, despite looking the better team, didn't look night and day. I thought it'd be a really big difference
It
in the two
sounded
teams.
like Burnley were always going to do that when they came up.
They're going to do
very
it.
much like Fulham last year.
I guess the question where I'm leaning with this is, would you reckon it lasted? Do you reckon it works for Burnley this year to play that type of football? Because as much as they can out-football teams, I'm talking about it a bit earlier, there seems like a two-class system. Is there enough teams to out-football in a year to win and to keep up this year?
Well, yeah, like looking at the game, Burnley did look good. Like they seemed to create a few chances. They were pressing up the field, but I don't know. I don't want to take much still from this City game
Yeah,
because
it's
the
hard.
first game of the season.
Yeah,
Like,
City,
I
like-
want to see what Burnley. I'm not worried what Burnley do against City. I want to see what Burnley do against like Crystal Palace.
Yes,
what
yeah.
Burnley do
The
against West
Brentfords,
Ham.
yeah.
Like
Even like the low blocks. I
Yeah.
like, you know, when they come up against like Everton, for example, like who are playing more of a deep
Yeah.
line team, like that's when you'll see if Burnley can like cut them open. A very reminiscent
I
like
think
Fulham
the
last
hard
year.
thing is as well is like the difference in low blocks. So from the championship, they also would have been versing low blocks and carved them open. But like now you're versing low blocks with like quality
World-class
low blocks. Like
defenders,
you're bringing like Sean Dyche's men against you.
Yeah.
No matter if you're at home or away, like
Yeah.
that's not an easy task to do. You've seen like the big teams not be able to carve like Sean Dyche's men over the last 10 years at Burnley and now at Everton Open.
Yeah.
So like that's going to be their biggest test. I don't think they're going to be in like any relegation battle, but I think that's going to be their biggest test in finishing 15th or finishing like 12th, 11th. It's going to be how they do against those lower teams because I don't know, like the scalps can only take you so far. And I don't think they'll take many scalps.
I think that's, it's good what you say because like they might take scouts, but it seems like just as a whole, this whole weekend, it's exciting. Everyone seems to be playing exciting, pressing football.
Yeah,
We've
100%.
seen like Brian are playing the inverted and just playing the inverted
Well, no more
fullbacks.
Conte and you know like Potter playing
These
really
sort of-
bad. Which,
yeah,
like
the
Potter
no more
normally plays well,
Mourinhos.
but like
Yeah.
Chelsea looked horrible last year. No more Conte.
There's no more that sit back. It's Daesh probably the last one left, but
Last
everyone's
one.
he's playing. Everyone's
I
playing
was
when
going
it's
to say,
exciting.
I
in
think-
the day, it used to be Hodgson, but he's come through now and started to play
Yeah,
expansive
we'll talk
obviously
about
the
the
last
players going to
couple
be, but like they play on the
just
front
on the
foot as well.
Burnley thing as well is that I actually think different to you. I think, look, my prediction was they'll finish like up, you know, the higher end or the bottom half,
Yeah.
and I'm confident they'll get it done.
Yeah.
But I think the difference. I keep comparing them to Fulham of last year because like the Fulham last year were predicted to come up, try and play expansive but not work.
Yeah.
My one concern is that I think if it doesn't work, then they could be bottom of the table. I think that's how bad it could be. I think it's 100% either one way or the other. You know, where they will probably lose against, you know, they'll lose to City, they'll lose to Arsenal, they'll lose to teams which are going to outclass them in what they do. I think they'll get it done against the teams that you know don't play that way. So like, you know, like less expansive.
Yeah.
But my concern is that at least when Fulham came up last year, they had players with names. You know,
Mitrovic,
had scored 40 goals.
Goals,
the year before that. And he'd been in the Prem before. He hadn't shown it, but they'd had that experience of coming up, not playing well, gone
experience
down.
is the biggest part
learned
of it,
a
right?
lot.
You're 100%
came back
right,
up.
yeah.
But then I'm hopeful that you know Burnley will have enough. But my one concern is that I'm aware for them that if they don't get off to a good start, they maybe drop confidence. They maybe stray away from what they want to play.
Yeah.
that they could have
That's
a
when you
really
fall in a
bad
rabbit
year,
hole, right? Yeah.
You know
and
what?
then be like, you know.
I
be
agree.
at
But if you
bottom.
look at Fulham's team, like last year, they brought in the likes of experienced players like Willian.
Even
they also
Dan
brought in,
James
like,
to less extent.
even-
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Premier
Dan
League-
James.
the Premier
They
League
had
guys.
Premier
like,
League players.
even like
Yeah.
Andreas Pereira, bloke had played played for Man United half a season. Like they're Premier League experienced
Burnley
players.
had the young Italian who debuted, like his first senior game was the companies are mucking around. I think he's like you're right. I think he's going one end of the spectrum. I think he'll slowly shift to another side of the spectrum. But as overall, to wrap Burnley up, I just think it's exciting the way they're going. Like, don't get me wrong.
Don't take a lot from the City.
Don't
It's
take
Man
much of it.
Like they just won the treble. Like let's not overcomplicate it and take a lot from this
As
game.
far as the neutrals go, though, it looks like it's going the right direction.
They
It's
show
sustainable.
how they're going to play, and
Yeah.
that's what you have in the game.
You get
in
a
terms
bit
of
more
City,
talent in there, and you're fine. Whereas City, I'll touch a bit on City in a little bit, but the big two talking points that basically came from this game came from City. Obviously, De Bruyne's injury, 20 minutes sat out, and then halftime, the antics between Haaland and Pep. So the whole backstory,
2-0 up.
Haaland's been demanding the ball game. Bernardo Silva has a chance to play him through in like the last minute of this 2 or 3 minute at a time. He gives them the whole, get stuffed. I don't whatever, has a goal to him. And then Pep runs to him at half time across the pitch to say, we want to control possession, we want to control the ball, slaps the camera away, a bit of an argy-bargy there, but I think it's a sign of champions, right? They're team that, no matter if you're going 2-0 up, if you score 2 goals, I'll be on your back. We want this team to be perfect together.
This is my pre-season worry with City. Are they going to be complacent this year? I think it shows off the bat that Pep is not going to let that settle in at all. You know, 2-0 up against Burnley, first day of the season when you think maybe an upset could happen.
Yeah, there's a chance. Yeah.
Pep's showing that despite the score that he wants perfection, and look, I think whether that or not he's trying to put that aura on, it's actually true. Yeah. Time will tell, but it shows you that as you said, they're not trying to be complacent.
Not being complacent this year. So overall 3-0 win, pretty comfortable for Man City. But I think it's to be expected first game of the season.
Nothing crazy about that game.
100%. No. So the early kickoff on Saturday, you touched on a little bit, Flynn. We'll let you take over from here on in. But Arsenal 2, Forest 1. As an Arsenal fan, just come from an Arsenal point of view, how happy were you with the performance?
Well, lineup caught me very off guard. No Gabriel. I thought obviously all the FPL managers, a lot of FPL managers are bummed out. I thankfully got the early team news night before.
Saliba he got it in.
On the best. But in all seriousness, I thought Gabriel was an absolute lock in our team. I'm skeptical whether I'm led to not believe that was an injury because he came on in the 86th minute,
and he played well.
You wouldn't think you risk an injured player at all, especially Forest at home, despite us being 2-1 in that situation. So look, whether it was a tactical approach and we played I guess you could look at it. We played more so attacking in the sense that we played Saliba. And then Timber on the left, Ben White, and then Partey sort of dropped it back to make it a 4.
Yeah.
But in attack, we sort of had that 3 with 2 fullbacks, I guess, playing as our 3 centre-back pairing.
Yeah.
So, they're pushing up. Even with Saka's goal, you see, Saliba was on the top right of the field. Lays it back to Saka. Saka, obviously, amazing goal. Yeah. Martinelli's assist is amazing. But look, the overall outlook on the game was that, a bit of a different formation. I thought Decky Rice looked okay. Didn't set the world on fire, but, played a bit back that left central role until, I guess, Trossard came on, which changed it up a little bit. But, I like the way we were playing. I thought we dominated the first half. I thought we dominated most of the game, to be honest, until the last sort of maybe 20 minutes when they scored. Yeah. And they sort of, we sort of sat back a little bit shaky. But take away from the game.
It's just basically a win you have to have, though, right? 65 minutes of dominance, that's enough. You get the result and go to the next
I think
game,
people also underestimate Forest's defense, as in we had low XG. I think we had less than a goal XG, which is not what you want to see at home against a bottom 4 or 5 team from last year. But I think to Forest's credit, they really fixed up the defense last year, and you'll see from about halfway through the season that their XG against was one of the better in the league. So look, credit to them. They defended really well. They had really good structure behind the ball. But good teams do what good teams do. Is we found a way to score despite having low XG. Eddie got a goal, which is nice to see.
He just
first goal
scoring.
of the league.
It
was nice to see.
One thing, I've noticed, and I think we've touched on this previously, but Eddie doesn't do anything around to the build-up play.
Yeah,
and that's probably why he doesn't start.
This is, I think, Arsenal fans' problem with Eddie.
Yeah, but if he's going to keep scoring, I don't understand how you can not play him.
Well, the problem I think is that he doesn't keep scoring over a long enough time period. He will score and he'll get you goals, but he doesn't do enough as just a poacher to stay in the team. Whereas Gabriel Jesus will score the same goals as Eddie, but he'll do way more in the build-up play. Havertz, different style of player as well.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's almost mirrors Liverpool's whole situation with Origi scoring those clutch goals. But then you've got Firmino, who probably doesn't score maybe as much or probably equals it, but his interplay is so important, right? You've got that there in Jesus, but then when he's out, the Origi type goals that Eddie's scoring. I remember the middle of last year, there were some big goals, and you're right, towards the back end of that stint, it sort of fell apart.
It showed that
the quality wasn't quite there.
I guess
right?
the other weird thing to consider with our striker is that now we brought in Havertz obviously, but we got Balogun there, who scored heaps of goals in league last year. We've priced him at 50 mil, which I think is more than Eddie's worth.
Yeah.
In today's market, I think Eddie's probably about 45 mil, maybe 50 because the market's really inflated. You never know. You never know. But look, we obviously really rate Balogun, and I'm not sure where he fits in the mix. I think he had a knock or something before this game. I don't think he was available, but yeah, like obviously ESR didn't come on, Nelson didn't come on. We have like serious attacking depth, and I don't worry, but I'm not sure how Arteta makes this work, because he's obviously promised game time to Nelson by signing him a long 4-year contract. I think it was. He's spoken pretty highly of ESR. I mean, ESR got a tattoo saying "trust the process" in Spanish. Like he's committed to the cause. I mean, goodness me. So he's clearly committed somewhat. But I'm really optimistic of the season. It wasn't the best performance. Like, we didn't score 4 or 5, but look,
champions have to find a way to win, right?
Just 3 points, I think.
Like,
that's good enough.
3 points is 3 points.
Match day 1.
Well, we move from there. Nothing special.
Yeah.
Like,
before we move on to like Forest, I think Trossard needs to just get this guy deserves some respect. I think he came on. Yeah. He didn't change the game, but there was just so much more safety with him. He just the ability to carry the ball. And every team who has a Brighton player, I think this weekend, every former Brighton player that played for a team just stood out, I think, for me this weekend. And Trossard, I think it's so underrated bringing that guy off the bench, right?
Trossard is so underrated. He would be starting at pretty much any other club in the league, I think.
Other than City, every club would start him.
I honestly don't even know if he wouldn't. I think in Pep's system,
he could work.
He 100% starts every now and then. Pep rotates it up top. I think the only team he can't get in, maybe, he'd start at Liverpool despite their attacking depth. He just can't start at our team for some reason, because Arteta seems to be one of the more stubborn managers with rotation, in the sense that
sticks to the guns.
Like, how can you drop Martinelli? He created that goal out of nothing. You can't drop
assist.
him. But Trossard always seems to be like the 60-minute guy. You know?
Bring him on.
Like the first sub, despite the score, whether we're 2-0 up or 3-0 down, Trossard will be the first guy to come on, because he's just so good not to come on. He's just so unfortunate not to start at the moment.
He shows the faith. You're 2-0 up, and at that point in time, I think the control of the game was slightly waning. Could have been going centre back, CDM, but no, he brings on Trossard.
What can help. Eddie? Eddie's good at pressing, but he's probably gassed by that point. So bring on,
somebody can carry the
Trossard.
ball, spread the game. Yeah, perfect. A quick touch on Forest. Former United guy Langer getting an assist. Good for him. Taiwo Awoniyi scores again. I think there's a lot of pressure on him to score some goals.
First came back after injury as well.
I think he's going to have a lot of... Brandon Johnson really struggled in this game.
He had a great chance early on. Johnson sprayed it.
Minute, I think,
Yeah, really sprayed it.
I thought he'd go past Ramsdale and put it in. But I think a lot's going to fall on Awoniyi this year to score some goals. I haven't really got a big name striker in a way.
Got names there, though. Like Morgan Gibbs-White obviously got decent.
As a 10, but you need like it looks like... We'll talk about Spurs a bit later, but like that number 9, that presence to score goals. So it looks like it's going to fall on Awoniyi. Good finish for him. Got a bit, squeaky bum time there at the end. They kept pressing. But I think Arsenal's defence held up. Like you talk about Gabriel coming on. Once he came on, it just looked like.
If we have the
solid
ability to sub on Gabriel, then look, I'm not complaining. Because the one thing it does show is that, one, no one is immune.
Yeah.
No one is immune to getting dropped or anything like that. And two is that if you want to beat City, you have to have the same depth as City. City have consistently had 4 or 5 centre-backs, world-class centre-backs on the bench.
Laporte's.
Vardy was starting on the bench. I know it's his first game, but just for example, they already have a plethora of centre-backs, and they go ahead and sign a 90 mil Vardy. So, look, for Gabriel, I wouldn't be too concerned. I think he'll start 90% of the games this year. I think it was Forest at home. We want to play a bit more attacking, experiment a little bit. But in terms of the outlook on the team, I think it's really positive that we can have that depth now.
Solid start, I think, for both teams, to be honest. We'll move.
Forest showed signs.
Yeah, Forest at times showed some signs. Move on to the midday games. We'll start with Bournemouth West Ham. 1-0 out there. Iriola's first game for Bournemouth. Solid signs. It was a game with few chances, but the chances came. They were big chances. A few off the post. Bowen's strike, magnificent off the left foot coming in. It's just sort of a case again where without Rice there and the striker situation, it doesn't seem to be solving itself. I think Ward-Prowse now confirmed coming, but Bowen's going to have to be the guy, right? He's going to score goals.
Bowen showed, even talking to a couple of people when West Ham came here, they were just saying on the pitch, Bowen's a level above everyone else.
Yeah.
Him technically is up there with the likes of when you look at Harvey Barnes, Matoma, even higher than them, those type of players who's consistently going to produce and have an output. With Souček, I was actually probably impressed with his performance.
Good turnaround,
But then, again, he's not going to fill that Rice spot. It's him feeling what he did ages ago. But,
Suchek's got to replicate what he did a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Let alone look,
it's
not about trying to be.
Yeah, but he got up the field, he hit the post.
Yeah, hit the post early on.
I don't know. I think it was a lot better game for him than he did last year.
I still think the ages got to him. The second half, he did slow up a bit.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's your point. It shouldn't be on him. He's probably 2 or 3 years past that peak of his career. But I think the signs for if West Ham can sort of put things together a bit more Prowse, McTominay, Maguire, if these guys are come across, you got Alvarez now that's joined as well. So that's now a new brigade in the midfield.
Yeah, well, if you can get Alvarez in to really just hold in front of the defence more, bring in Ward-Prowse, maybe even Souček then can have more of a rest, because I think Souček looks like
he's a good 60-minute player.
Yeah, he can't handle playing, and especially now they're going to be in Europe. The bloke cannot be playing more than once a week.
Yeah,
and they need to have that ability to go, because I don't know what's happening with Paqueta there, but I'd hope he'd stay.
I hope for West Ham's
because
sake,
then Souček and
was
Ward-Prowse
finally coming good as well, unfortunately for West Ham.
He looked all right on the weekend.
Then Souček and Ward-Prowse can more interchange in that 8 role, I would say.
I think you have Alvarez. He's the most Brexit player that they've got. So he can play the 8 role, and you can have as a 6, I guess. Ward-Prowse, Souček, if McTominay comes as
I think
a 6.
Souček's got to play the 8 and Alvarez has got to play the 6.
Does Maguire start 100%?
I think he would have to for them.
I think
Zuma and Kera.
So I was having a chat the other day.
I'd go Kera Maguire, I think.
We were having a chat the other day, and we both came to the conclusion that Maguire's going to flourish under Moyes football.
I just think it's a more defensive style. It suits his pace detriment.
I think you're 100% right, and that's what I agree with you, because I just think Maguire can't play any time where it's expansive football.
Yeah, that's what
I think that's
it. I
think that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah.
Maguire can't play expansive football high line because number one, when Maguire's on the ball, even though I don't understand, when United bought him, it was Maguire's a ball playing centre back. He's one of the best with his feet.
He can spray a pass, but he's not
he can spray a nice pass, but then he can also the ball his touch.
Yeah.
So I think Maguire's best assets are crosses into the box.
Yeah.
His heading ability, his ability to patrol the area and be able to
defending in a 4 is when he's at his best. When he gets isolated, it's when it's all over, right?
Yeah, he just can't be isolated. When he's one on one is when his biggest problem is, and getting down the line for pace. And that was why he's so exposed to United. Even though United under Ole didn't play expansive football, there was still probably 15 of the games of the season where we have more ball than our opposition.
Yeah, well, West Ham might play a 5 apparently if they sign.
I think it's probably I think this season just contain as much as possible, right? I think West Ham will be a bit upset conceding the late goal Solanke in around the 80th minute, scoring there another good clinical finish from him, coming good. A lot more ball to his feet this year under Iriola's new system. It seems a bit more time on the ball for Bournemouth. It's a weird old team thing because I couldn't really take much from this game. It's 2 teams that are sort of transitioning, it seems, so it's hard to read both teams.
Bummed out when they scored because obviously them going down.
them going down. But no, it'd be interesting to see how they go, right? Both teams probably on the brink of relegation. We were thinking.
I'm against that, but yeah.
You're against it. Well, me and Flynn are to the floor. But I think
you say? You're a what?
Against, I don't think they will.
Against probably is the wrong word. You're big on West Ham, is what you're saying. Yeah.
I think against was the wrong word.
What do you predict them again? 10th?
11th.
Okay.
I think both teams will be happy with a point at the end of the day, though, right?
10th or 11th, whatever.
At the start of the season, a point away from West Ham. Bournemouth got a point against West Ham.
Bournemouth need to be good at home.
Yeah, they're going to need to stay in a safe level.
I wonder if Liverpool will destroy them.
Just some karma back from
9-0
last time. We'll skip on to another one of those midday fixtures. Something I was really interested in and got a pleasure of watching was Brighton-Luton, 4-1 Brighton. I think it was an awesome game, right? So from the start, Brighton do what Brighton do best. They were passing the thing around, triangles everywhere. Up to 75% possession in the first 20 minutes, really dictated the game.
I think it was even a little bit higher. It was crazy.
It was literally one of those games, so stereotypical. Luton would just sit in, one bad pass. I think Dahoud struggled in this new system, but then Luton were out. The pace they have on the counter-attack is quite scary.
Dahoud was a little bit shaky, 100%.
Yeah.
Early on, obviously.
Early on.
A little bit shaky.
I think Milner was awesome, though. I think the standout for me is Milner's not lost it. He still looks like one of the fittest guys on the field. At the ball, his feet was comfortable. The centre-backs at Brighton, the Webster's done that. They're so safe. I know Dunk gave away the penalty.
Unfortunate pen.
Very unfortunate.
Heard his stat that he gave away the most pens last year. I think it was 4.
He just seems to be unlucky.
Dunk, despite having that record, I always feel very comfortable. If I was Brighton, I'd always feel really comfortable having Dunk at the back. He's got a pretty track record of
even
being
like
very solid.
Jason Stiller,
Great
those
on the
guys
ball
in the
too,
three,
yeah.
they all pass around. I think Luton, despite playing to their system, they didn't show us much. They didn't go out of that system.
Scored a pen, like Morris scored
Like,
a pen,
yeah.
but yeah.
I think for the future, it's going to be home form. We've agreed home form. Obviously, João Pedro got the penalty goal.
Yeah, 4-1, as we said, was definitely not
Yeah.
a true
And the-
reflection
the
of
two
the
late
game.
goals for them, like-
It was a pretty tight contest for most of the game.
See, it was a
Luton's
tight
guns.
contest, but I just didn't think that Luton created anything.
No, they didn't, but it's in
But that's
like
their game plan.
But,
That's the thing
but
that's gonna be.
that's the point in the sense
Yeah,
that
I know that.
conceding 4 is not reflective of what the score was.
The fact that only
Of what the game
conceded
was.
after 38 minutes to the March header was probably, credit to them. They held on so long.
They conceded weird goals. I mean, João Pedro should have put one away in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, missed a
like
sixer.
one of the worst
that was
misses
like a Mount-
the
that was like
season
one of the
will
Mount
have.
misses in
Yeah,
pre-season.
Unfortunately, I mean,
Yeah.
fortunate for FPL owners.
Yeah.
So Evan Ferguson came on. This guy's going to be starting. This guy's going to be an absolute Premier
The
League
fact
star.
that Evan Ferguson comes to your bench, but
know.
you have the quality of Danny Welbeck on the
That
there's
goal,
just
by the way,
depth
was
there.
such a good finish. That Evan
just shows
Ferguson
his
goal,
class,
like he is going to be so good.
Yeah, I listened to other podcasts and in the UK, one of the coaches said that someone who's coached Harry Kane, he reckons Evan Ferguson is better, if not equal to what Harry Kane was this age. So the sky's the limit for this guy.
he's like
He's
20.
got that build.
No, he's 18
He's a
now,
great
Ferguson.
finish.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's a great finisher.
Well, he was 18 at the end of last season, so maybe he's
about-
19.
It doesn't really matter.
The point is that
this guy is clinical in front of goal.
He is so clinical.
5-year deal now at Brighton as well. So like
Did he sign 5 year?
Last year he signed a 5-year deal. So you
They're
got
gonna sell
Ferguson
him for 100 mil again.
Exactly. But Ferguson doesn't even come start the game. You got
No.
João Pedro and Danny Welbeck.
Danny Welbeck.
But I think De Zerbi's system, we just saw it to the max. I know it wasn't. Brian probably a 7 out of 10 at best. I think
Yeah.
they weren't at their
And
best.
they
still put 4 plus
Yeah.
the team.
Against
So,
a pretty defensively focused.
yeah.
Not necessarily solid, but focused team.
Focused team. They
They
sat.
gave away.
they
I mean,
won the ball.
Luton. I don't know what his name is. Gave away a pretty poor goal to
He just took a touch
To-
later
Oh,
on.
yeah,
What's
and the
it?
volley.
the debutant.
Yeah, Adunga came in and snapped off
and
his
put that
back
goal in.
back
But
post.
look, Brighton looked as sharp as they normally.
I just
they
think-
showed the signs of their sharpness they showed all last year.
I was gonna say, it's basically proves to everyone that last year wasn't a fluke.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
here to hang
They're
around.
going to be playing the same way. They're going to be scoring
Yeah.
heaps of goals. And for the most part, they're going to be pretty defensively solid.
Yeah, it's just crazy though. Like
It's super now. Sorry, got
you look
so
at-
high up on the pitch as well.
Oh, you look at Dahoud and Milner come in for Caicedo and like McAllister.
It's like
That's just crazy. Like they bring in two free transfers?
he was free. Yeah,
And
both
Milner
free,
would have
yeah,
been
both
free. I know
free,
Milner
yeah,
was,
yeah.
so I don't know about Dahoud. But
Yeah, both
if
free.
you're saying that,
Yeah.
bring in 2 free transfers, ship off 2 for like 180 mil together. Like,
And the system
that's
works the same.
crazy.
All I'm worried about is if, just say Xavi has a bad start with Barca or Ancelotti doesn't do well at Real Madrid, I'm looking at De Zerbi is now like
Get snapped up.
he's
Well, they
on
could
the
have-
chopping
I don't think a Barca.
What-
like
what-
Xavi will get the year.
No, well, obviously not. He's just using
hypotheticals, but I think right now the best manager to
De
grab
Zerbi
would
is
be
one of
De
the
Zerbi.
best up and coming
Yeah.
managers in the world, playing for a poachable team.
I was
That's
like,
the point.
he can get him. You're so gettable there.
I think to be fair though, is like we're talking about all this money Brighton had before. Like they can afford now to spend a little bit more and try and
hold
keep
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I get their business model. If it's purely a financial thing and a profitable thing for the owners, their business model is working perfectly. As you said, 180
Yeah.
mil replace it
Ticking
with 2
boxes.
free transfers. Like
Yeah.
it's unbelievable the money they're making at the moment.
Mm.
But at the same time, if they were looking to progress a little bit
Yeah.
and try and cement themselves, as we said, as one of the bigger clubs in the
Yeah.
league, push for Europe every year, then they have they're starting to build up a little bit of money so that they can put their hand in the pocket a little bit and spend a little bit more money.
Yeah.
Keep De Zerbi, pay him a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure De Zerbi, look, I feel like he'd obviously have a little bit of ambition to take this club higher up. So
yeah.
look,
Champions
you
League,
give him a little bit more money to match the offers he might get elsewhere or try and closely match them, then you never know. But
It's exciting
But
times
yeah,
for Brighton fans, right?
being a Brighton fan at the moment, it looks very exciting.
And we touched a little on Luton, but I guess the first goal in the Premier League scored by Morris.
Morris,
Penalty, but still I think a big moment
at
for them.
that end, whatever that end's called.
In the away end in front of the away fan, which is always good. But yeah, I just can't wait to see them at home when they finally get that home game. Obviously, the first few has been shifted around with a few I think renovations at the stadium, but I reckon that'll be one of the best games to watch. Their first game at home. We said they're going to have to get every single point they can at home because we saw they can't defend for 90 minutes away from home because the tightness at the end, that touch in the box that Adringer got in. But I think good signs for Brighton. Luton a bit to work on. As you said, probably need to show a bit more in the front half, but
100%.
Exciting stuff for Brighton. I think they definitely showed last year was no fluke at all. 2 more games in that midday fixture. Everton 0, Fulham 1. I didn't get to watch too much this one. I just saw the highlights. But what I've heard, it was one of those games where there was a lot of chance for Everton. They just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, well, I think they were very unlucky, to say the least. Like, I don't know if that disallowed goal I think that was just poor keeping by Leno.
You could, yeah.
I know it was harsh. It's very, very harsh.
Speaking of Leno, had a very good game.
No. Leno did have a good game. But that one moment, did you see the one moment?
With the ball into the...
So, like, the ball's bouncing and he goes over the top to
a bit
catch
flappy.
But, like, I think it's Tarkowski.
Was it the Haya-esque?
Tarkowski, like, leans into him.
Yeah.
And he drops it and they give a free kick.
Yeah.
And then, like, I think...
Iwobi hit the crossbar.
Keane,
as well.
Keane just hit it in.
Oh, for the goal.
Yeah, for that goal, Keane just hit in. But like, he leaned a little bit into him, but like he was already standing there. Like Leno's come over the top of him.
It's one of those ones that he goes in a bit flappy and a bit weak that any contact he was going to almost go down.
Yeah, I think at this stage, but I don't know if that probably under the like laws is a free kick. But it's come to the point where like
the law's a law.
it's come to the point where is goalkeeping getting a bit like protected?
Well, I think that it sort of needs to be, bro. Like
there's so much against them. Like
I just think it's just the way it is. Keepers are protected a little bit because it like you know, if it's a foul, it just I mean I don't know what you're saying. Like, to be honest, of course keepers are going to be a bit protected.
To be honest, like out of all the weekend's decisions, it was actually quite a good weekend for referees. So good stuff for them.
Yeah.
But that's probably the most
controversial one.
But like I think this year we're seeing the whole added time thing. The refs are following the letter to the law to the letter of the law, and we're seeing the lines drawing large stuff. But it seems like they're really trying to emphasise if this is not in part 7A, you know, it's a foul, not a foul. Like that's what they're going off, and probably by the letter of the law and looking at it, it's a foul. But don't get me wrong, you go a bit flappy at it, like it could easily go the other way and just say play on. Yeah.
Well, you know what else? Speaking of the referees, they implemented heaps on the weekend. Was that like if you get around the ref during the
straight away. Madison got pinned for it. We'll talk about that.
Going to be suspended in 3 weeks.
Even coaches as well, Ryan Mason and the Brentford assistant
as
well, Norgard as well.
Norgard,
So, but don't get me wrong, you're right. I think Everton, that was one of many chances they were unlucky.
Yeah.
But then Fulham, like last year, their away form, like we talk about how the football, but their away form as well, incredible last year. That's what kept them in that mid sort of bracket of the table. Another win on the road, which they probably
obviously played as well. Despite all that, like
Willian was on the pitch as well.
Yeah, Willian played
after thought he was going to Saudi last week.
You told me on this show that he was gone.
Yeah, I literally thought he was out of there.
One thing that I thought that caught my eye, not really anything particularly like on how the game was, but Mbuemo's penalty. Like, is the bloke been like learning off?
Are we going to get to Brighton after this game? Brentford after this game, are we? Is that what's happening next?
We'll touch on that when we get there. But no, you're right.
But yeah, like the whole run up and everything was like Ivan Toney-esque.
He obviously has nothing else to do, so you might as well take him. So why is that? But no, Everton unlucky. I think that was the most like dice performance. They were doing well. They had the odd chance here and there.
A lot of chances. They had a lot of shots.
But like doing it at home, that's what Dyche used to do. Do it at home, get the chances. And when
they
you
would
get
be
chances,
annoyed though.
Big chance.
It is obviously only game week 1, but like
that's 3 points dropped.
But yeah, like in terms of what we thought Everton's season might be like, you know, every point I think we think is going to matter. So like 3 points at home against Fulham, who have had a bit of a weird off season, like players leaving, players going. You look at that as a big 3 points dropped, I'd say. Yeah. So yeah, look.
I think they just need to get Cavaloon back in because like Morpay I think missed at least 2 chances that I think Cavaloon would put away. Like Morpay seems to be able to like get into good positions and seems to be able to take on the defender, but like
not Morpay versus Leno again. The way. Oh my god, he must have.
He's not really the finisher though.
He can't finish.
Yeah. That's
like he does all the hard work, but doesn't know what to do with it at the end. Like. There was 1 or 2 which were, I'm not going to call them like tap-ins, but like he was...
For Premier League.
Yeah, for Premier League quality. You got to be scoring at least one of the 2 chances.
Yeah, 100%. 1-0. I think Fulham will be ecstatic with that result considering they didn't play some great football. Everton, a lot to improve on, but... So again, first week, there's not much to take out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the last, that midday kickoff, Sheffield 0, Crystal Palace 1, another team at home that'll be kicking themselves because... Despite not being awesome, Sheffield United weren't bad at all. Some chance early in the first half, but then obviously, I think the Palace football now, a bit more expansive second half. The ball in from Ayew to Edouard. I think that's his first goal away from London for Crystal Palace. He has not scored a goal away from London so far in his career.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
That's a massive.
I'm not
It's
sure
a fun
about
stat.
that,
It's an interesting
yeah,
stat. But finally getting in the goal with Edouard. I think we talked about it in the pre-season. Mateta Edouard up to score some goals.
Yeah.
The Hodgson system's working. I think that's what's come from this.
SA created a lot of chances. Unfortunately, not to get a return in that game. But yeah, no. As you touched on earlier, Hodgson has got this team like kind of expressing themselves finally, which it feels like they lacked at the latter or the earlier end of last season. But yeah, I think Palace will have a decent. I just think this is reflective of what Palace will do this year. I think they'll be pretty competitive against
pick some 3 points up.
against the lower teams, and pick up points on the road is always good because I think, as you said, they've always struggled to find goals when they're playing away from home.
Yeah. I think it was just what Palace needed. Sheffield would be kicking it like similar thing, almost the same as last game. Sheffield would be kicking themselves. That's first game of 10. The crowd's behind you. It was noisy. It was an atmosphere. You don't want to leave it too late.
Have so much. Yeah,
I forgot what the bloke's name is, but he looked really good.
Forward.
Yeah, the forward that missed that chance. But it was like really close. Like took it in, took on a player, whipped it with his left.
It was the first 10 minutes. He had a great chance.
It was a great chance, and I'm not sure who the bloke was, but he looked like really
pacey as well, right? Like got into areas where
he looked dangerous the whole game. Like he looked like he was a bit of a threat to, like Palace's defense, and like
Azula.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Is that it? Was it? How do you pronounce it?
I don't know. If I knew, I would have been saying his name at the start.
But yeah, to wrap that one up, one of those midday fixtures I couldn't get hold of, so I only watched the 25.
I'm not going to sit back and watch
the game. Moving on to one I really liked watching.
Yeah.
Something I was super surprised with. So I did my predictions earlier on Friday night, and I did not predict this going the way it went. Newcastle 5, Aston Villa 1. I went 2-2. I thought it'd be goals, but I didn't think it'd be
on my tipping, I had a
5-1.
draw as well. I thought Villa would be more competitive than they were.
Yeah, like so. I just to summarise the game. Great start. Tonali on the board in literally 6 minutes. Go down the other, and Diaby scores off a sort of not really set play, somewhat of a.
Also put all those rumours to bed.
Tonali's passion was there. He was
that was class.
So funny.
Newcastle's media team,
smashed it.
Hands down, like. That tweet was one of the best tweets I've seen. Like,
best of the week.
After all the talk about Tonali not wanting to be there, being shipped off by AC out of his will.
Well, to be fair, the sun was up.
The gym isn't as big. See that one?
Nice and cold.
But I think the big news, obviously, the ACL suspected injury to Mings.
Yeah.
And I feel like now you lose a player in your team and it always shifts the whole dynamic around. Like, I think that was a big. Like, obviously not the captain
a big
anymore.
name around.
Yeah.
I think a big presence.
I think they're lucky though that the depth they have. Like they're bringing
lucky.
straight.
I think it's great.
But I think for the result of the game, like they got back into it after that Diaby goal. They looked like the better team for 5-10 minutes. The injury happens.
Kind of
the game slows down
a little bit as well.
And then all of a sudden the game started again. Newcastle were just on them, and like it was tough because the game started to swing their way. I thought they'd be able to get a lead in the game. They were going in the right direction, but that sort of kills momentum. Then you get the Isaac double, and then from there, Harvey Barnes comes on, piles on, and obviously Wilson as well. But we're talking about there, the Wilson Isaac sort of debate. The fact you have Wilson, Callum Wilson come off the bench, you average almost a goal per 90 now.
Poacher, like serial
the
poacher.
guy, but the goal he scored was Callum Wilson to a tee.
Yeah.
Coming to the box, little side foot finished, goal out. Like
he's one of the best finishers in the league. Unfortunately for Callum Wilson, injuries has always let him down in his career for the sake of getting consistency.
Yeah.
But if anything, the fact that he doesn't have to be the main man is going to do his career wonders towards the latter end of his career, in the sense that he won't have to start every game. He won't have to play 90 minutes every week. But what it means is that, Eddie Howe showed at the end of last year, one, he's not afraid to play them both, start them both together. And two, he's going to rotate them. Obviously, it does look like Isaac is going to be the one to start more games. But in terms of their depth, being able to bring Callum Wilson off the bench is not a privilege, but like a great ability to have. And
the depth you need.
100%.
Top 6.
They're in Europe now, so playing Champions League football. So I think it's like less of a want and now more of a need, like in the sense that they need.
You're gonna want if they're gonna go deep. I think if they're gonna go deep towards the top 4 challenge or even better this season, they're gonna need their players like Wilson to stay fit though. 100%. And as we said, just then with Champions League footy on the corner. They're gonna that's gonna be an upcoming challenge for them.
Yeah.
With Villa, I thought, defensively they looked like pretty. Obviously, Mings went out, and that can change.
Throws the system.
Like that can be a really big mental factor as well. Like seeing your teammate go off on a stretcher. But in terms of the hole being filled, I mean, like they couldn't have had a much better replacement. Pau Torres come on.
Emery's
obviously played under Emery before. And to his credit, none of the goals really came down his side. Konza was very, very shaky. Like all the goals came down that left side towards the end of the game. But yeah, look, for the future of the team, I think Konza will probably slot in there now. I think Pau Torres will probably slot in there now. And you know, I think that was always sort of the trajectory of the team. You know, you get in one of the better centre backs in Europe.
It's just sped up now that the injuries happened.
I think, unfortunately for Tyrone Mings, Pau Torres is going to take that spot now. I know Diego Carlos can play on the left, and he's actually signed as like a right-footed centre playing on the left. Side, but at the same time, you know, I think he started the season last year, unfortunately got injured in the first game.
Same thing as Mings.
I think you'll see in not so long Pau Torres and Diego Carlos starting as the centre-back duo.
I think after Konsa,
he's got a bit of a knock at the moment, I think.
I think Konsa was a bit more than shaky, especially that mistake yesterday. Like, he's just fiddling around with the ball in his box. That comes in like a little bit of body. It wasn't even like a big shove or anything. It was just like a little bit of body work, and he's chipped the keeper. Like,
no, look, I wouldn't get in Konsa's case too much though. You know, one game, people have bad games.
And
he started 37 games last year and it came good at the end of the year.
So the thing you have is, I agree with you, but when you got the likes of Diego Carlos on the bench, who are
100%
absolute quality, like Diego Carlos, like 2 years ago would have started for Man United.
No, he's a Europa League winner. He's a quality centre back. He's the nuts and bolts.
He's battled with. He's had a tough injury in Villa because he battled with injury the whole time.
I think though what stood out to me, and you mentioned the whole coming down the right, the left hand side there. Gordon looked fit. I think when he came over last year, he almost looked like he came from Everton unfit. And we all heard about Dyche putting them through a proper fitness regime when he got there, and they weren't ready for that. I think he came this season looking fitter. He looked more aggressive, and we talked about losing St. Maximin, but it looked like that Gordon was sort of filling that sort of role and being really direct, really pacey. Obviously, on the other end, Diaby, we'll get to him in a little bit. But I think that Newcastle depth, Harvey Barnes comes to the bench.
We're seeing so much depth at these top-end clubs now.
Miguel Almiron,
it's unbelievable.
Like, he looked like the worst out of them all. But if Miguel Almiron's your worst out of like 6 forwards,
who's shown how good his best can be. Yeah, it's remarkable. It's I mean, it feels like we're saying it about every team now. They have so much depth. The only one that feels like they don't have that much depth is City up top. Unfortunately, obviously, it's at KDB. But yeah, across the board, it's looking
solid.
Like the league is looking super competitive. Because, you know, even that sort of caveat where they're playing in Europe doesn't look like that big anymore because teams can afford to rotate so much.
Just go in and out.
It does feel that way. I mean, even with Villa, now they brought in Diaby, played up top next to Watkins, and it always felt like if Watkins was to go down with injury, that was going to be the big issue. He played so central on the weekend, Diaby, and you know, was finding himself in the box a lot, and that was a great finish for him. So look, even like, you know, Villa as one of the lesser teams in that bracket are showing they have depth.
I think it's slightly worried about Villa's start. Obviously, Buendia's gone down in the week, and he's looked out for multiple months. That's a big, you know, danger injury. Obviously, you lose Mings, who's a leader, former captain of the club. I think just you need to be careful at this point in time not to go and, you know, that downward trajectory too much. I don't think it will, but obviously it's a possibility now. A few injuries early on, you lose that continuity. I think a lot's going to be relied on Diaby. I think Bailey can find some form, right?
Yeah, I was touching
We're talking
about
Bailey.
Emery, like, you know,
you've got him there to score goals. He hasn't really done it. Since
it feels like, well, Villa fans are really not happy with Bailey playing like this weird little like right centre mid role he's kind of been playing at the moment.
Tight, narrow,
To me, it's very reminiscent of, because he did it all preseason, of Unai being kind of stubborn with his approach with players positionally. So we saw, I was mentioning before, like Lucas Torreira played like this weird 10 role at Arsenal for a long time. He persisted with it for so long. And in the end, it ended up costing him his job to an extent. That's not going to happen with Villa. The pressure isn't as high. Emery's earned himself a lot of time at Villa. You know, had a great back into last year. Got them into Europe after being 15th for half the year. But look, if I was Emery, I wouldn't. Yeah, you know, you have so many midfield options there. You got Tielemans now. You got Coutinho still there.
Coutinho's a great option at the bench.
Like, I would not be persisting if it's not working with Leon Bailey. He wasn't signed as a midfielder. He was playing way too deep. Or it didn't look great on the ball. He's got pace. If you're going to play him, try and get him through the channels, something like that. But yeah, I think it's a bit of a weird one.
It's a bit of a system thing as well, right? You come against Newcastle, they played very narrow. It was almost like a 4-2-3-1 when Diaby was almost like an and Watkins almost switches like a false 9, not a 10, and the wingers, Bailey was almost playing as a centre mid, so it was like a left attacking mid and right attacking mid. They were so skinny. That's probably because you're very Newcastle and how good they are on the ball.
I mean, look, Newcastle looks really good.
Yeah, like Newcastle on the ball was incredible,
Villa,
right?
Yeah.
Villa had to adjust. Maybe when they go and play the Forest, the Bournemouth, Bailey gets up and wide, like we normally are used to seeing in
Teams
the
are going to get battered at St. James.
Yeah.
It's going to happen this year. But once again, I think it's like, don't look into it too deep. Newcastle won at home. Villa lost away at Newcastle, and with a big injury in the first 15 minutes. That is always going to happen defensively. But look, I mean,
do you think like they'll go on and that's not going to affect them, Tots, or do you reckon this sort of results sort of lingers?
No,
on
I don't think it's really going to affect them in the long run. Like around that spot, like no one I think has really predicted them to push on and finish like Europa League.
Yeah.
So like they're versing a team that's just finished in the.
Well, we've got them Conference League, so it's not that much.
No, I know.
But I think the jump is.
I mean, if they're going to finish Conference League, they're going to have to be like in contention.
In contention, you're
up
right.
until the last week.
But I think you're versing Newcastle.
So
I think they're just going to. Yeah. Like, I still think they'll get us. I think Villa will still get us a few scalps. Like Villa will still probably pull out of. We're now saying that top 7. That big 7, I think they'll still pull probably like 3 wins and 2 draws, and I think that's enough as long as they go to the other teams.
Yeah. No. Look, I'm with you. I'm not concerned that that Villa will have any trouble. I think these games happen. You got a new squad trying to gel together to an extent. So look, I mean, it was an entertaining game.
Yeah.
But
it's the final note on it. It shows how powerful the home crowd is in Newcastle. It was bouncing.
They're loud. They're loud.
Like, and I think we've seen Spurs last year, United last year. Like teams can come there and get very embarrassed and then almost put under the pump. Like Emi Martinez is running out to halfway and heading the ball. Like it was all sort of bit jumpy. So
he was doing that a lot.
He came out like 3 or 4 times.
I was like, goodness me.
Yeah.
Get back.
Fair enough if he can do what he wants. He's the World Cup winner. But yeah, I think you're right. It's
do what he wants. Got batted 5 past Emi.
I could be ripping into cons in the rooms after the game, but that's fair enough. Obviously, the 5-1 win, impressed with Newcastle. They look like a proper top 4 team. I was doubtful. I think they've impressed me the most this week. And obviously, rebuilding, a little bit of a rebuild for the week to come for Aston Villa and how they line up on the weekend. Sunday fixtures, these were both actually really exciting.
Really good games.
Brentford 2, Spurs 2.
It's a really good game.
We were all watching this one. Ange ball was kicked off, and you saw that from the first half. There was chances galore, there was goals galore, there was possession, there was times without possession. When on the ball, they look. Emerson Royale looks a whole new player. That was the one who shot me the most. Emerson Royale and Udogie on the left back and right back there. They looked really, really good. Obviously, inverted fullbacks, chucking them in midfield.
He was Emerson Royale's playing solid. Really inverted too. Like
he was almost get DM. I mean,
he scored a goal from top left of the box. But from like open play. It wasn't like set place.
Yeah.
But just thinking about this game, my sort of approach in this game is that I don't know how much it says about either team. To be honest, I think this was always going to be a high-scoring game. You asked anyone, there was always going to be goals in this game, despite the fact that Brentford had no Tony. We knew that Spurs are going to play pretty aggressive football high intensity, high ball playing. I think, unfortunately for Spurs, losing Romero for Sanchez just shows like where their squad is at. I think that's a massive drop-off in terms of the game Ange wants to play. Sanchez didn't look too bad, but it was a big. Once again, like with the Mings thing, losing your centre back in
throws the system out, right?
First 15 minutes, it's not good. For Brentford, I think in retrospect, this is always going to be kind of like not the perfect game, but a pretty good game for the style they're going to play this year because they played such a high line. Spurs played such a high line in like a new system that with your pacey players like Wissa and Wemo and like Rico Henry getting the byline, like this was always going to be a pretty good matchup for the style they're going to have to play without Tony. I was pretty bearish on Brentford before the season started, saying that I think they're going to struggle without Tony. And look, they obviously scored 2 goals pretty easily. They should have scored more. But as I said, I don't think you should take away too much from that game if you're a Brentford fan in the sense that I would be wary that against better defenses and better set-up teams, you're going to struggle to find a way through. A penalty and like some pretty open play madness was that's going to happen against a new Spurs team. Which to their credit, I think when you saw when Ten Hag came in at United, it can take weeks to gel together. So the fact they not only conceded 2, but as in the fact they were competitive in their first game with a pretty undermanned team, losing arguably the best player in the league the night before. Like,
and your
credit to
captain
Spurs.
and the whole
Madison,
season,
obviously, I'll let you guys touch on this, but Madison looked nuts.
Yeah.
Son was a little bit
Some
in and
was,
out. And Richarlison, you were saying before about their striker situation. So
100%. We'll get you to go, Todd.
Well, yeah, from like both teams' like point of view. Firstly, touching on Tottenham, like they looked like really good in comparison to what I was expecting them to look
progress
like.
To
like their back
really
four before Romero went off
ball.
was like solid. Like I think that was like everyone's biggest concern. And then one point, like Basuma, I don't understand what was happening last year. Like I actually sent you. I sent a message.
Injury concerns last year.
I know, but he still wasn't
But
getting
Conte
games.
did not want him.
Conte didn't want to play him. Like, I sent a message to the chat, and I was like, Basuma, Caicedo, they're the same player. Like, Basuma was doing the same job. Basuma was doing the same job that Caicedo did last year, 18 months ago.
Yeah, just 2 years
And
earlier.
like, again, like Basuma showed his quality yesterday.
Basuma had a really good game.
Like a really good game, but he was doing that week in, week out for Brighton. Like, I think Caicedo is just like, it's just like recency bias, obviously, and like the fact that
and the need for a DM team.
the fact that like Basuma didn't like play last year also is a big like consideration, but into why like no one's talking about Basuma, and like I think everyone was maybe expecting him to not get much game time at the start of this year, but he's been really under the radar in terms of like pundits and that
I think
type of stuff.
the Lo Celsos of the world that had a lot of time in preseason, people expected to make that jump. Obviously, you get the knock later in preseason, so you didn't get the game time, but I think Madison
Ollie
was the one.
Skip though, like I was thinking Lo Celso and Basuma.
Yeah,
I think would be
Skip.
Lo Celso, Basuma, Madison would be actually be a nice midfield. Like, don't get me wrong, it's nothing that's going to set like the complete world on fire.
But it's
that
attacking oriented,
it's
right?
attacking,
it's a
and
more
Basuma,
Ange Ball type.
Yeah, like if Basuma can find back his form that he did at Brighton, Madison looks, as you were just saying before,
Madison looked
like
so
crazy.
Good. He was central to everything.
We're hoping that like Son can find some form, but I am a bit concerned now after last season, and again today, and again like last night, like even after he was going off, like he was furious with.
I'm not concerned about Son. I just think that his output is just going to be lower because like how wide Ange has him playing.
Yeah,
he
can't
was
get those channels inside.
He was so wide, and look, that created space for sure. Like, I'm not, you know.
Yeah,
I'm not doubting that's going to affect their
Look like
goals.
he was capable of like taking on his player.
Here's my thing on Son. So Son's a guy
so deep.
that used to run because Kane would drop in
towards the byline,
and Son would like go through those central channels.
It was a very different dynamic.
And Son's a more touch finisher. Don't get me wrong. He can got a great ball in the box. He can great passer, but for me, he's not that winger who just gets the bar like a Giggs and crosses the ball in.
He's not super intricate either.
He's a guy that gets in a position to score and score. We saw that Burnley goal. He took on like 6 Burnley players.
Do you think
he's
it's
a direct
bad
winger.
idea?
But
Like
a few touches though, like
Son up
few
top,
touches.
and maybe touch Richarlison on the left, and maybe a bit interchangeable.
I think
I
though,
don't think that
Richarlison, you're gonna have to commit to. It looks like they're not getting anyone as of yet because the market's so thin on strikers. You commit with him. I'll touch on it now. Like they don't have a forward there. We saw Madison. He was trying his backs off to put balls in the box. Nothing was ever produced by Richarlison. Son, you're right, too wide for my liking, but that's the way it works, right?
Yeah, that's the way
like
Angel's
it's
play.
you're gonna have to persist with
with
it.
inverted wingers, you can't have everyone clogging up in front of them.
You're right.
Which just doesn't play to his strengths.
Yeah.
But you have
You're
a
like-
former, you have a
That's
great
it.
Premier League striker. Well, a once really good Premier League striker there.
He can do it.
Yeah.
Like he's
Even
not
though
gonna
Ange
be.
seemed
A
a
comment
little
I'll
bit
make
sceptical.
though,
Yeah.
like a big comment is, go back 2-3 seasons ago when Kane was injured. Son was playing number 9. Okay, he was
Yeah, but this
scoring
2 or 3
goals.
seasons ago, very
Yeah.
very different outlook under
And
Mourinho.
for Ange's style of play, you want the number 9 who just scores goals and wingers that are high and wide.
Yeah.
Son can do it. It's just going to take some adjusting. It's going to take some time to adjust.
But otherwise, I was really impressed with Tottenham, and same with Brentford. Like, it didn't look like they weren't capable of scoring goals. Like, Rico Henry was on fire. Like, he should have got 2 assists. There was a second
And
assist.
Buemo sprayed
Like,
one.
and Buemo sprayed it. But unfortunate for me having him in my FPL team. But I was like,
Do you think it's more of like a point? Do you think both teams look at it as like a point gained? Or do you think it's drop points from either team?
I think it's hard to tell in my point of view.
What do you think? What do you think they take it as though?
I think
I think a point game because I think
both teams?
Yeah, because I think at this point in time they're both teams probably Tottenham. I'm expecting more from them Brentford, but considering as you said before, it's the first game of the season. You know what's happened, so therefore Tottenham probably I think would be happy with a point. Don't get me wrong, they would have wanted to take the 3 points, but like I think they don't see it as a negative. Like I think Ange goes, okay, game done. Like we take a point, let's move on to the match
Ange
week
did say that
2.
though. He said we only go up from here. Like this is a learning experience, but with the chance that created, obviously hypothetical. We'll say it all year probably. But if you imagine Harry Kane was in that box, the balls that Madison putting in, you'd think you'd score 3, 4, 5, right? Yeah. So just from a different point of view, I watched that game and I imagine Harry Kane in that box.
I literally texted one of the boys about this. I was saying, imagine how many assists Madison would get.
We're gonna say it all year, right? But like,
you did
if you imagine Harry Kane in that box, some of the balls Madison putting in. I touched Madison now. Madison stood out for me like night and day. Talk about Skip, how
everything ran through Madison. Everything went through Madison.
Basuma, who just connected the defense to the forward line, which you said in off-season they struggled with, right? The connection from the back line to the forward front three was their biggest problem. They had no one to carry the ball. Basuma's doing like roulettes past players and like nutmegging guys, and Emerson's tucking and doing it. So those two are doing that well. Skip, I think, is where it drops off. Yeah. You chuck Lo Celso in there. A bit more similar to Liverpool.
Well, I wonder
forward players, right?
Ange isn't saying in Lo Celso then if he's giving Skip a game.
It was a knock late after
was
the
it?
Okay. So when they came to Perth, Lo Celso stood out.
Because I knew Lo Celso was playing in the preseason.
And he's only just come back from an injury.
And the thing with Lo Celso, he wants to go back to Villarreal. There's a bit of convincing going on there to keep him at Spurs, but you get Lo Celso, Emerson tucking in alongside Basuma and Madison. That's a dynamic. It's similar to almost Liverpool's midfield where it's aggressive and forward thinking. That has one holder there in Basuma.
Yeah, look, I think
solid, right?
I think the game does highlight, though, how far they have to go with their squad. Like I think we just mentioned this a bunch of times, but like I think an area that's not being spoken about enough is okay. I know their fullbacks played okay. I think were good. Royale was good. Udogie was good, but I think in an Ange system in the Prem, you need some of the best fullbacks in the world to like honestly to be successful, because you need players who are good on the ball but are also good in a 4-back. Udogie's played, primarily in a 5-back system, where he's gotten up the ground, really high, and he didn't look bad. But Royale as well, like Emerson Royale obviously scored a goal. Was good, but you want consistency, and you want like some of the best in the world to be able to play that role, because otherwise, you're just not going to be competitive at the very top end.
They just remind me of like the Wan-Bissakas and Ole, when it'd be a great game and then an awful game the next game.
This is what I mean. Is they played well, but I'm not convinced that. Look, I'm it needs to be seen, but I'm not convinced that they're going to be the ones. Like of all the problems we feel like they already have, there's 2 more. They're currently. It feels like they're going to be able to do a job this year, and look, we'll let the season play out. Yeah. But it feels like there's 2 players, which aren't even being spoken about, which might need to be addressed later down the line. So they have a long way to go.
To close it up and to build on that as we finish off at Tottenham, I think it's sort of like they're the placeholders that eventually fill in. Like Ten Hag's on this year, they just keeps replacing them. I think,
but it's not all the worst.
No.
The fact that this is the start of an Ange era,
this is a
could be way
European level team, and we said in the chat, it's a European level team.
First team,
like
Arteta's first team.
They're just people you just replace of higher quality, right?
Even like Ole's first team. I know he's not there now, but the team, like the random scattered names these guys took over.
Yeah.
It is very reminiscent of this Ange's first team. Like, you got a player who Ange, so Madison might be there. In 3 years' time.
And Madison and Son might be there, and you might have Udoggie be like a reserve.
What about Vicario? He was interesting. He was interesting.
But they brought him in for that, right? It's just the stupid amount of confidence just ping balls.
It was interesting.
Anywhere.
I was a little bit.
He was taking too many touches. He was like. If that's what he's there for,
it looks so scary though.
I know.
If I was a Spurs supporter,
but that's
I'd have to go change my underwear after the game.
Style. Like Vicario came with that reputation.
Yeah,
if you win and lose by it, fair enough. They've committed to it. So
look, to be fair to him,
he
was fine. It's just like it was funny. You mentioned that
it was ropey.
For some reason. These keepers that have this shaky perception are just. I think Ramsdale has it as well. To be honest, you're never convinced when there's a shot coming in.
Like which is all these guys. All these guys.
Alisson, for example,
just save.
Transition to the Liverpool game. We can probably go to that now. Alisson, I thought was decent on the weekend. And you just always have confidence. In
whereas Vicario is taking these.
Mate, I'm more sus about Alisson's ball playing.
Yeah.
Which I think,
to keep it safe,
even though it's good, but it's in I think first and foremost, despite how good they are with their feet, I think every team needs a keeper who you're going to be confident in with their hands. That is their job first and foremost. Being able to play with your feet can be a massive factor, But if you're so scared that they're going to let in, if your defense is so scared that a pot shot comes in and they're going to let it in, then it changes the way you line up. You sit deeper, but then then you suddenly try and close them down, and it creates these holes, and it's really important to have a good keeper, especially when you're playing as attacking as Liverpool did in the weekend. That lineup was crazy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I'll finish on that game. I'll touch on Brentford before we move on to that one. I think Brentford, I had them pretty high, and they still rated them. Like you saw, like Thomas Frank, home crowd, those two things get you, I think, 12th, 13th for me. I think we said chat to the chat as well. He's just a guy who's going to pop up with a goal when you need it, right? He popped up with a handy goal yesterday. And Buemo, their pace in behind is going to win them games. You're right, though. Yeah. They come against a lower block. How does it work? Because their midfield's not as talented. That team suited them so well. Yeah, their midfield's probably not the talent to pass through teams and out football teams, but their forwards, their fullbacks, Rico Henry of the world, they'll get enough points. I think I was very impressed the way Brentford played. I think it's a lot for the future for them.
No Ben Mee as well, which makes them so much more.
Nathan Collins, who I've been big on the opposite.
Flecken as well,
and Flecken was good as well. Yeah. So they're replacing the right players. A bit of a Brighton cheap one. I feel like it's just play their system, what they want to play, and you'll get points. So
just back what's his name, Thomas Frank,
all the way, back him all the way. It's good results for both those teams, but I think Brentford are very happy with that result. And then we're coming at now the last game, the later Sunday kickoff. Chelsea 1, Liverpool 1, the most exciting 1-1 I think of the weekend.
Yeah,
especially in that first 40 minutes, that was just back and forth.
It did die off a bit after.
It did, but I think it's all down to both midfielders not having a holding midfield. Enzo for me is not a holding midfielder.
Scary first 20 minutes for Chelsea. I'd say that.
I think the first 15 minutes. First 20 minutes, Salah had the ball in the net, obviously offside.
Yeah, it would have been 2-0.
But then that pass to Diaz, that like swerved ball to Diaz. Diaz didn't have to move. He just had to run and kick the ball back in the net. Obviously, Chilwell, he has had an offside goal as well. But we had 4 balls in the back of the net in the first half. It was open. It was exciting. I think it's indicative of what both teams are going to be this year, right?
Yeah.
We expect, and obviously Caicedo, here we go to Chelsea. So I assume now that's him there. But we don't know anymore.
So Caicedo comes in for...
He drops Gallagher. Gallagher
and then
underperformed.
Enzo pushes up a bit.
Enzo for me is not your holder. If he plays further up the field,
Enzo was really good.
How good was he?
Yeah, Enzo was really good.
You say that, but Enzo's best attribute last night was his ball playing.
That's what I'm saying.
But if he can have a little more freedom with the ball, because he's not the deepest defender.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying.
Take back to the World Cup, that goal he scored against Mexico. Like that's when he's a bit further forward, right? You put Caicedo, him in there as well, and then like Chukwuemeka wasn't that bad at all. I thought. I think he didn't.
Wasn't the star of the show.
He didn't shine as much
with Caicedo and Enzo.
Yeah, it opens it
that
up.
That would be scary. I reckon that borderline be better than City's midfield.
Chilwell was playing like a second striker.
Yeah, he was so far. Yeah, so
he was literally left wing.
And Reece James, I think, is made for that inverted role. Like the guy is so good with his feet. He was due an assist. I think the Nicholas Jackson was so close. Alton just got the palm on it.
Yeah.
But Chelsea,
and just over the bar as
he probably just had to be a bit more like anticipating that ball across.
I think you guys are big on Chelsea in the pre-season, and I was probably bigger on Liverpool.
I put them third.
Yeah.
And I was scared in that first 20 minutes.
I had them flipped around, right?
You must be confident.
I thought they'd both have a lot better seasons, but I wasn't like as highly.
Oh, but you guys both had Chelsea third, right?
No, you had my fifth. I
had Chelsea fourth.
I think, but I think Chelsea at this game, out of the Moises Caicedo battle off for whoever gets Caicedo, they look like the better team to me. Like the second half when legs got tired, Van Dijk looked really, really fatigued in the second half. That's a separate story, but they look better on the ball. And you get Caicedo in that midfield 3, you're right. And Kunku comes back in 2 or 3 months. We mentioned the first 6 fixtures of the season. That's almost 5 more wins coming in the next 5 weeks. So they've got the Bournemouth,
They have a
West
great run now.
Hams.
They have a great run.
You set that up, and Nkunku comes back. Like it's dangerous.
Yeah. So like Liverpool's, I just like speaking of Liverpool's lineup. So we obviously saw how attacking they were.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Gakpo playing.
Do you know how to pronounce his name yet?
Oh, Soboslai.
Yeah,
Soboslai.
Yeah, but whatever. Like, I thought attacking players because you include
McAllister was the deepest.
According to Liverpool,
you include Trent and Robbo.
And then their deepest midfield was McAllister, who was literally playing as a 10.
Who played 10 half the season.
And he even played 10 in Argentina as well.
Argentina, he's in their 10.
Yeah. And then like Szoboszlai is an out 10. Like he's not even.
We saw how good he was going forward.
He used to play striker internationally.
Yeah, like he'd be like as good defensively as like a Mason Mount.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it was it looked like it was going to pay dividends in the first 20 minutes.
Oh, it looked
But
amazing.
then as soon as Chelsea finally got a foot in that game, it was showing you how vulnerable they looked. I mean,
But even their attacking prowess in the second half, there was nothing.
I think fatigue hit them.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. As soon as Chelsea got in that game and they couldn't get like repeat sort of.
They couldn't get the ball back off.
Because Chelsea was so bad in the start of the game, they were just like hoofing the ball forward sort of thing, and
it was just
like they were
cherishing
losing
battle.
the ball straight away.
Yeah.
As soon as they got a little foothold in that game, and they didn't have that sort of Liverpool didn't have like the defensive prowess to set up and get the ball back in, like through interceptions and counter and stuff. They didn't even really have as much a chance to attack. I mean, Salah in that first 30 minutes looked so scary to not own an FPL. He looked like he was going to score every 30 seconds.
I was praying he was going to have the goal counted, but
Because Chilwell was getting so high, they had so many chances to break through. Thiago Silva looked really solid at the back, I thought.
Always. In Diassi was
Diassi was good.
Nice goal to start off his.
But I thought he was really solid defensively. I just think Robert Sanchez looked good. I think it's a great. I think, to be honest, as a Chelsea fan, like it took a little 20, 30 minutes to sort of like calm the nerves maybe, but from there on, they looked like most more as a team than they have looked in the last year. So
I think with Liverpool as well, you sort of saw the way to beat them, right? It's to make them fatigue, because if they don't have the ball, they can't get those sort of repeat forward thrust, right? Once they lost control of the ball and they had to do a bit of defending, these guys aren't naturally defensive players, so I think the fatigue was coming and having to work side to side, up and down. Chelsea almost just outworked them, and it's just a shame that they didn't have the final product to get it done. But you talk about Chelsea's back line, that almost back three, I think that's a way to go, right? Disassi
if it means Chilwell and James can play that aggressively, then
one of them tucks in.
Chilwell looks so good.
Colwill didn't play his best game, but still that looks solid at the back. And you learn from Thiago Silva, so eventually it may become Badiashile just jumps in there when Thiago Silva rests, but like that experience is so underrated with Thiago Silva. He's arguably up there, one of the best centre backs. You always forget about him.
We forgot about him. Not forgot about him, but it's kind of overlooked him a little bit because we always say he's getting so old, but
his consistency is out as well.
He doesn't look like he's slowing down. He looks so solid against arguably one of the most threatening teams in the league. Credit to Chelsea. They turned it around in that game.
Chelsea definitely looked a lot better than Liverpool.
Well, for the most part,
90 minutes.
Again, credit to them.
Liverpool looked really good in that first
20 minutes. I was thinking 19-20 seasons.
Liverpool looked like what we were saying before the game was their problem. Like, they just lack someone in front of the defence, because if they could get the ball and someone to pick the ball up, I know McAllister was doing it, but like someone to pick the ball up and also be steady in front of the defence.
McAllister doesn't pick the ball up. McAllister's one touch pass.
And let Trent and Robbo push on. Like, that's when they're at their best. Let Trent and Robbo push on. Salah tuck in. Even Diaz tuck in.
It feels like
I just feel like
Caicedo to Chelsea is a bigger loss for Liverpool. Than it almost is like a game for Chelsea. Because he would be so important.
Does Liverpool go get Lavia now?
You listen to Klopp after the game though. He was over the moon the way they played. Like he was.
He has to be.
But I think this is what he expected and is what they got. Right. It's going to be. Really, really, it's a hollow midfield, like you said. There's no sort of holder there. There's no one to pick the ball up and carry it. McAllister, for me, you saw in the World Cup, he's someone who likes to get one touch pass. He doesn't carry the ball. At Brighton, he had the least touches of any midfield in that team because he gets it and gives it. He doesn't have the ball at his feet much, right? That's what Caicedo does. And I think Liverpool, Lavia would be a perfect fit for them, or even just trying to remodel with Curtis Jones in there, right?
I'm still concerned about Lavia. Like, I know he did all right. Like, had a decent season at Southampton, but he still went down with a relegated team. Like, Caicedo showed it like so many times when like whoever was in goal was hitting him up, Sanchez and stuff, and like he has the ability to have like he looks left, scans right, and he like just opens up the play with one pass. That's a different sort of player in the sense of like he'll get it from his defender, he'll get it from his goalkeeper, and like he's getting pressed and able to free it and get out of the press, and like that's such an important asset to have.
I just think that's what Liverpool's missing, but we can't expect anything more without that.
Oh, so 100%.
I think again they scored one. They probably should have scored two. So what I thought was going to happen did happen. Obviously, you're versing Chelsea, right? You verse any other of those, probably the top six. I think you probably get past Tottenham, we can say. They'll run a number on most teams, I think, because they'll have the ball. It's when they don't have the ball is the problem,
yeah, exactly.
Right? That's the whole.
It looks like they're going to be such high-scoring games whenever Liverpool play. Because
or chances to
because it doesn't look like... I just can't see them getting any better defensively because they don't have they don't have the players there. I also worry about maybe even squad morale within the group. Because they played like 6 or 5 genuine attackers on the weekend, right?
Yeah.
And they still have 100 mil Darwin Núñez on the bench.
Yeah.
And this is going to be happening every week. I mean, I don't know how happy these guys are going to be getting dragged every game. And
you talk about getting dragged in morale.
Salah's
little tantrum, he took every piece of paper off his hand and threw on the ground on the way off. That was
didn't even say anything to Klopp, just walked off.
Klopp didn't hug him.
I don't know what they're going to be expecting. You have so much attacking depth there with so little defensive, or so little midfield depth.
Well, even defensive, Robo's
Klopp,
out, Trent's out, Van Dijk's out. I know they've got
I think Van Dijk. I think we're realizing how important Fabinho Henderson was because Van Dijk. Don't get me wrong, he's probably not the player he was 2 years ago, but they're still looking so shaky.
Quick,
But that's what my point was. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Liverpool have any better of a season than they did last year. I just don't think you're relying on Van Dijk to be able to defend like he did back 2 years ago when they defended him and Matip or him and Gomez as a two. But they'll get attacked and Van Dijk would clean up as a two.
Klopp made it clear, I think they expect just to be exposed like that. They just hope they score more than one goal. That's the hope.
This is why I think I still think Liverpool are going to batter big six teams at home.
Yeah, they'll put 4 or 5
when you have
teams.
that Anfield crowd behind you and you suddenly get the momentum, you can see 3 or 4 goals going in like that. Because that's what it looked like on the weekend. The offside goal to Mo Salah, a few miss. I think they hit the post a couple times.
Salah hits the crossbar.
Salah hits the crossbar on his right foot. Diogo Jota was creating things, and Diaz looks really, really good.
Awesome.
I think I think Townsend or other one mentioned, I forget his name. Mentioned that Diaz feels like a new signing.
The commentators, he is a new signing. They hadn't played. He played 8 games last year, 30
They
games.
have look, I think it could be a interesting season for Liverpool in terms of I feel like they have a big hole which they knew they had last year and they haven't fixed it.
Ignored it. Yeah.
So I think it might leave fans scratching their head a little bit, what is going on here. But I think overall they will. I think they will outscore a few teams, and as a result, they'll get some memorable games on the road. Yeah. But I don't think as we said, they're not there yet.
I feel like they're
a little bit way away.
They'll take scalps, they'll batter teams, and it might be like Angeball.
They might put 9 again past Bournemouth.
Yeah, but it's just is it for me? I'm
serious. They might.
No. I'm still confident they can probably get top 3 just because. We always say the defense not right, but we think about the back 4. It's the same back 4 that won all these trophies. Don't get me wrong; they're not the same back 4 all the years ago, but it's enough there to not concede 5 or 6. Right? They're not going to concede in big numbers. They might score big numbers, but they're not going to concede that. So there'll be enough there. It's the first game of the season, and we keep saying it, but you check a Curtis Jones
a point on the road
at
Stamford Bridge.
You can't
always
take that.
You can't really Stamford Bridge on the road. I think you chuck a Curtis Jones there in bigger games. I think there's a bit more stability there.
I think it's a point game for both teams. Once again, I think as we said with the Brentford Spurs game, I think first game of the season to 2 teams who really underperformed last year. They both showed really good signs. Granted, in different spells.
I reckon from Poch, it was definitely a 3. I think I don't know if he would accept that.
No, he won't. He won't. But I think the holistic
scheme
view
of things
is you got to look at it there was great signs in that game for Chelsea.
Oh,
they looked good, which is what they
think it's a bit different.
Chelsea haven't looked good in a year.
But it's different to the Brentford Tottenham one. We say that one there, probably both teams.
No, because Thomas Frank couldn't be happy they lost. Well, they dropped 2 points either. And these guys, no, I think
they wouldn't be happy, but it's it's a result they'd probably take and move on. I don't know if Poch would really be happy.
He will.
I think you have to
I
take
disagree.
that.
Poch 100% takes that and moves on.
Against
he
Liverpool.
just versed Klopp's Liverpool team, who won the league a couple of the Champions League
3 years ago in Champions League.
It's still this, as you said, it's still primarily the same backbone or same defense at least, with arguably a better attack.
Yeah.
So look, I think both teams will take that point, and
I think this is what we expect from both teams, right?
And now it's the next. So if Chelsea will look at, if they draw the next few games, they'll 100% look at it as points dropped.
Yeah.
But this But starting with Liverpool at home, or starting with Liverpool regardless, is always going to be tough fixture. So I think they take those points.
I think
and then move on.
We got what we expected. Yeah. We saw what we expected. I think it's going to be an exciting season. We talk about Ange Ball and expecting goals from Tottenham. We expect goals from Liverpool. They're going to have some exciting games and back and forth this year. So that's going to be exciting also. But yeah, I think you're right. It's definitely a point gain for Liverpool on the road, but as much for Chelsea to adjust these players. You're losing Nkunku, your best player in pre-season,
you accept it.
and you still get a result against Liverpool at all teams.
Fair.
I
think Nkunku, by the way, just quickly touch on that. Makes them such a better team. If
Nicholas Jackson looks 10 times better in pre-season anyway. He looks 10 times better
the
with
runs
Nkunku there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as we were saying before, like now they're bringing Caicedo. Imagine Caicedo, Enzo, and Nkunku.
Serious midfield.
That midfield there, I don't know who has a better midfield. Like
it's tough to compare.
Obviously, but it's you can argue that you don't. I agree, you
better. Declan Rice better. Party Enzo mix. There you go.
But you can argue.
I like Enzo.
I'm just saying you can argue it.
I'm joking.
You do have a better, but definitely argue.
I agree.
I think Chelsea are moving in the right. I think they're ahead of what we thought, unless what I thought. I thought that'd take a bit longer to get together, but
I thought
they're together quick.
Obviously, it's a lock.
Yeah. Well, apparently they're locked. They're locked in. Just to finish off, obviously United play tonight. Our boys are on.
Predictions.
I've gone 4-0 on
4-0
on my own video I posted early last week. What are you guys going to back in tonight?
2-0.
Was this before Lopetegui had gone?
No, after. I did it on Friday night. So
I'm going to go. Yeah, I don't think they score. I'm going to go 3-0. I think
at home
we don't
it's
score
hard.
3.
We
scored 2, I reckon.
Yeah,
We'll be 1-0 and we'll score one in like the 80th minute.
Score 2, not 3. Goodness me.
So look, to finish off this, especially for you, I guess the question is, what is the front though for United? Because I, for me, have Rashford, Garnacho, and Anthony. How do you reckon they line up?
I'm happy to put my house on that front three.
You reckon they'll go there for that?
Come back to the next.
Garnacho, Anthony.
Yeah,
so it's Garnacho down the middle.
Hoyland's not fit. Hoyland's not fit, so obviously he's not going to start. So who else is going to?
If Martial's fit,
does Sancho play? That's what I'm saying. Does Sancho play or does?
Nah, Sancho's been playing as a number 9. So unless they're going to play Sancho as a false 9 and play Rashford off the left.
I'm more concerned about what your midfield is.
Oh no, but our midfield we already know what it's going to be. It's going to be Bruno, Mount, Casemiro.
But
how?
I could name you our starting 11 right now.
So who's playing deeper? Who's playing deeper at the two? Bruno.
I think
it'll be interchangeable.
I think they interchange.
Yeah, okay.
I think Mount will start there, but when the going gets tough, if we only have 1-0
if
lead,
it gets tough,
Bruno's sitting
Who
right
are your midfield subs?
Well, right now it's Donny. Because Scott will be there, but
Yeah,
Scott's not way out.
Scott will be on the bench and Donny.
Fred's just landed at Fenerbahce today and signed the deal.
And the big one that was out in pre-season, because I seriously think he was going to get game time, is Manu.
Yeah, big loss.
He was going to get huge game time this year.
Played against Real Madrid. He started.
Yeah, he
Casemiro.
started that midfield with. He started with Casemiro and Bruno.
Yeah, and they played Mount out
Mount on the bench.
Yeah.
But then Mount started playing after.
It was interesting how it lines up, but that's the final game.
Yeah, 3-0, 2-0, 4-0.
And 4-0.
Yeah.
2-0.
I think you win comfortably. Put it like that.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll see. As far as the first week goes, it was a great first week.
Yep.
Obviously, we'll try and be doing this most weeks.
Good if Bruno can get a brace tonight for my FPL.
Yeah, I need an SOS for any FPL help out there. So anyone just give me a hand. I've struggled big time with only 47 in my first week.
Oh.
The creator of the league is sitting bottom of the fantasy league. Thanks guys for coming on.
Yeah.
Awesome week of football. We'll be back hopefully this time next week. A few big games, Tottenham United next week. Also, we'll cover all of that.
When's Champions League start?
It'll be just after the Euro break. So
like 4 or 5 weeks.
4 or 5 weeks away, yeah.
Cool.
But we'll try and get a bit of that in action there as well.
Pumped.
Yeah, exciting times, guys. So thanks for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe, all those good things. Share with mates. We're well and truly over 100 now. We've just got 106 subscribers, so we're pushing on. So yeah, subscribe, share with mates, and we'll see you guys very soon, boys.